Hey everybody, it's Jang here with a look at LEGO City set number 4430, the Fire Transporter. It had 522 pieces officially, and again officially it was released for the early 2012 season, although it actually started to show up in some stores in late 2011, I believe it was. I've already built this up because the build took a little while, and with multiple major components to it, it just ended up not being so efficient to show like a speed build here. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we get with this set after it's all built up. First off, the minifigures, of course. Now, there are 3 minifigures here, which I think is a perfect number for this set, given the vehicles included and such. But each of these has the same printed light bright orange torso piece, the same printed light bright orange leg assembly, and the same dark bluish gray hands. What changes between the 3 are the head and head gear and other things that you can attach to them, or other things that are intended to be attached to each one. You end up getting the first guy with cap is kind of more of a driver and operator back in the fire command module, whereas the 2 with the proper firefighting helmets would be out in the amphibious all-terrain firefighting vehicle that gets pulled around on the trailer. And of course you can switch around their duties and switch the parts and pieces around as always. Let's go ahead and look at that amphibious all-terrain firefighting vehicle, because even though this is called the Fire Transporter, I think that this is more of the focus of the set. This is the more interesting thing in the set, but I will definitely come back to the actual transporter part. This is a really cool, very different looking firefighting vehicle. This is not your typical fire truck. Obviously, it's like a buggy. I believe it is intended to be amphibious from what they show on the outside on the box and in the pictures in the manual. Definitely all-terrain with the big tires, and it's got large, substantive, thick rubber tires with a surprise. Well, it's not a surprise if you looked at the box for this, but a surprise for most folks compared to the norm for LEGO City stuff. These have a little bit of articulation to them. It's like suspension, where you actually can come up to an obstacle, and look at that. Look at that. Tire actually moves up, and now that one's moving up. You can see it's kind of swiveling over. One of them doesn't move. This one right here does not move. That's kind of important to keep it from just falling onto one side or the other. But you can see that last one is now hanging down. Kind of cool action going there. Not designed the way that I expected it to be at all, even after seeing the pictures. So that gives an interesting aspect to it. Makes it different. This does seat 2 minifigures, so you can put a driver minifig right there, and then you can have an operator for the water cannon turret here. I think the monitor, the nozzle at the end that they attach here is a little on the small size for something that's attached to such a large vehicle. It's a pretty big buggy, or whatever you want to call it. But it is the same one that they want you to use for the minifigure if you take the minifigure out and actually have one fighting fire on the ground. So it's kind of the standard for a minifig to hold, even though, again, to me, it just looks a little bit small for here. But this can rotate around. You can give that a little bit of slack. You can rotate this around. You can swivel it, pivot it up and down. So that's pretty cool. This can be retracted all the way. And a nice little fan feature there for like a cooler, although like an engine compartment or pump cooler maybe, but kind of moves around a little bit. But that really doesn't bug me. It looks good and it spins. It's compartmentalized nicely. This is from the year when they were doing the off-road kind of backcountry forest region series. They did a handful of sets that used the just yellow on red logo, so you'll see those on the truck also. But a pretty cool vehicle in all. A little bit plain on the top. Wish the nozzle was larger. The way that this was accomplished here, not really going to see it very well anymore with everything put together, but you can see that part. I don't know if you recognize that part right there. There are two of them. There's one on each side of each of these rotating axle pieces. You can see there's another one there, and that's the stopper. That's what stops it from going any farther, so that limits the range of motion in both directions. Brilliant is just a Technic pin, ultimately, or a series of Technic pins that go through attached end to end. It's actually Technic bricks with pins built in, but pretty interesting vehicle. And then the other thing, so this is the major thing, that the name of the entire set is based upon the fire transporter. A very long thing, long trailer on that, so you had to zoom way out to get that. It doesn't even have the ramp down. The use of the ramp, good idea, very good idea. Allows you to just drive this back on up once it's done with its job or needs to move on to the next area, or when taking it off. Look at that, see how the tires kind of hang in the air. That's really cool, kind of like when tanks are loading up onto trailers, they'll have part of them hanging out, and then this goes right up and it kind of locks in place. So they've got good spacing done here with the kind of the wheel chocks front to rear. Good choice of